Now, having said that, I'd like to make another analogy. Almost everybody in today's world is overwhelmed by the complexities of what's going on around us. And most people are blaming their own situation on things over which they frequently have no control. The economy is terrible. My company's rates are too high. Underwriting in my company is the pits. The management in my agency isn't worth a damn. In this community, everything is going to heck in a tea basket. The world is in terrible shape. People can do better with their money elsewhere. I can't give them the highest rate of return. I can't and it goes on and on and on. Problem with that is though some people are saying that in sometimes the same office in the same company at the very next desk, there's someone tearing the patch apart. They're doing all kinds of business in this terrible environment. Now, what's the difference? Well, the analogy, and I will pick on a couple of folks in the front row here if they don't mind. We have Tom and Rand and Damien. Tom, Rand, and Damien, three people, and we're going to now make up this part. They came from three different parts of the United States. Tom was a farm boy. He grew up on a farm, and he used to be out in the days like when I was a farmer, way back when I was younger, and we didn't have machines. We pitched hay with a fork. And we'd have to get the hay into the barn by putting it up on the wagon, and the horses would pull the hay to the barn. You had to get it in before it rained, and we'd be pitching away. And all of a sudden, right down in the middle of that little stack of hay we're picking up, there's a snake. Well, there's snakes all over the place when you're farmers, so what you do is you take the fork and you toss them, hey, heck with the snake, got to get the hay in the barn. Snake was of no great concern. Now, Rand, totally opposite world. Rand was born in the Okefenokee swamps down in the southeastern part of the United States. And Rand had nothing to play with when he was a kid but snakes and alligators. His greatest pleasure was snakes. He kept them in cages. He loved them. His greatest pleasure. He had cottonmouth moccasins and rattlesnakes and a lot of harmless snakes. And God, he loved snakes. It was his life. Every time he saw a snake, he went into a frenzy of, oh, great, look at the snake. Now, Damien, on the other hand, Damien was a city boy. And Damien was raised in downtown San Francisco, and his only idea of snakes was when he see them on television or in the movies, and he's scared to death of snakes. My God, snake! Now, each of them were born with probably only two fears. Fear of falling and the fear of loud noise. Everything else that happens to a human being afterwards is not a God-given. They adopt it. They adopt it by the environment in which they live. Now, if one day, and I've never really done this, but maybe I should today, but I didn't bring one with me, I dropped a snake right there. Harmless or poisonous, doesn't matter. Immediately in the front row, I'd get three totally different reactions. Tom would be saying, come on, Norman, cut out kidding around. Get the darn snake out of here. Get on with the meeting. We came for a meeting. Rand would be on the floor having an orgy. He'd be ecstatic. My God, look at that beautiful snake. And he'd be having a ball. Damien would be on the chair. Ah, Norman, get it out of here, snake. And all three of them would be blaming that little snake for their reaction. And the snake, frankly, wouldn't have given a darn. Snake didn't know what was going on. It was just wiggling across the floor, minding its own business. Yet three adult, mature, intelligent individuals would have had three totally different reactions. Not because of the snake, really, but because of their perception of a snake, which they learned. It's up here. They got it after they got born. They developed a hate, a fear, a love, a concern for snakes. Their perception. I don't think there's anybody that ever hears that story that doesn't recognize the truth in it. It is a fact. Some of you have been through traumas in the industry. Some of you have been through traumas in your marriage or your finances or your physical conditions. Everybody has a story to tell. Nobody goes from birth to death without a story to tell. And the accumulation of those stories become perceptions. And you react based on what you are thinking because of perception. And I am respectfully suggesting that that snake can be the economy, It can be competition. It can be the company. It can be finances. It can be health. It can be family. It can be anything. And the way you react is purely a matter of choice, although after a while it becomes a compulsive choice. But if you learned it in the first place, you can unlearn it and replace it. And those of us on this planet that are somewhat restrained by our own self-fulfilling prophecies and our own limitations should occasionally think of that snake and recognize that snake is nothing but a perception. Our reaction is not the snake, it's what we think the snake is. And so it applies to everything in our life. And if we're not all we want to be, let me respectfully suggest it is by our own choice. We can be anything we want to be. The price is getting control of our own mind and our own destiny and starting to think positive thoughts instead of negative thoughts, and the glass is half full instead of half empty, and going out and doing something about it.